All right, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric Griffith. I'm the Director of IT for Mechanicsburg Exempted Village School District. Does anybody know where Mechanicsburg is? Have you ever been lost and a cop's been following you for like 30 minutes? You're almost Mechanicsburg. So that's where that is. Also, I do a podcast called The State of Tech. How many people have watched, seen, or been on The State of Tech before? Okay? It's a fun podcast. I do the podcast with Sean Beavers and Eric Kurtz, two very talented gentlemen. So, I'm married with children. I have a 3-year-old, almost 3-year-old, and an almost 5-year-old. And technology is very important in our family. My family, during Mother's Day, my extended family, got to visit, or got to witness my 5-year-old's meltdown when his first generation iPad wouldn't support the Ninja Turtle game that he had found online. Not only did he take it, slam it down, said, "I don't want this, I'm not doing this." He walked back, and my father looked at me and said, "You know, you used to act that same way, Eric." And I thought, we didn't have iPads back then, but still. So it's, I think my mother called it karma. So, yeah. You can find me. There's links to my website. If you didn't grab the tiny URL, I shared it with everybody. That's the presentation. You should be able to follow along here. Some of this is demo. Some of this is, hands-on resources. So I am actually recording it in Camtasia. Later tonight, I'll upload it to YouTube and then relink it back to this document. So if you have copied down this link, fantastic. You'll have the resources there, because sometimes people ask questions and, I'll answer them. Also, when you walk through and see something happen for the first time, it can be better. So bit.ly, bit.ly/lowercase I, capital T, capital I, capital P, 13-GD for Google Docs. Okay, so how many of you use Google Drive already? Show of hands. Okay, so you're very familiar with, you kind of know what it is. How many use it on a daily basis and couldn't live without it? Almost everybody, good. Well, I'll go over the what it is very quickly, and then we'll move on to the recent changes, because unless you follow Twitter or check their blogs or look on Google+, it's very difficult sometimes to see what all they've updated. So the first thing, Google Drive, it's built into every Google Apps account, right? When it first started, it was actually just called Google Docs, and you had to go in and activate it. For the most part, I think everybody has had their Google Drives activated now, so it's built right in. And it supports a wide variety of formats. I myself was a graphic designer a while ago, and I was surprised to see how many different formats it could support, recognize, and at least view. Okay, so Google Drive, how many of you use Dropbox? Okay, I'm an avid, I'm not going to tell you what my friends call me for Dropbox, but I have 21.5 gigs of free storage, so quite a few free storage, quite a few gigs of free storage there for Dropbox, and I've used the heck out of it. It's filled up. In fact, I can't save anything to it anymore because it's completely filled up. So I use online storage all the time for just about everything, and I'm slowly converting over to Google Drive. Speaking of converting over, I don't know when Google will finalize this, but they have changed their naming convention for Drive from document, presentation, spreadsheet, form, and drawing to docs, slides, sheets, forms, and drawings. This was promised, I don't know how long ago, but it's going to happen. So if you're somebody like me who creates handouts and other things, if you have teachers or staff members or even administrators who say, "I'm looking for sheets, but all I see is spreadsheet, what do I do?" Just be aware they're updating that. That happens. Okay? So once you log into Drive, you click this Create button, and they've kind of streamlined the menu there. Okay? Google is doing a great job of trying to be your one-stop shop for an online storage tool, right? In fact, recently, I'll show you this in the next slide. They gave you a little bit more storage for free, okay? But they also added one of my favorite extensions, or favorite add-ons, and this is built into Gmail. It's this little grayscale Google Drive button, okay? And back in the day when Google Docs first came out, you had to share everything from Google Docs. Talk about mind-blowing to some staff members when you said, well, you know how you want to attach something? Yeah, you can't attach it in the email. You have to go outside of your email and then link to it. And that just, I saw, you know, staff members and students' minds just explode, which is why we have tile on the floor of Mechanicsburg due to all the just gray matter that just had to be cleaned up. So anyway, they finally added a Google Drive link, which is fantastic. Okay, so when you click on that, it dumps right into your drive. If you've not clicked on that button, I'd suggest you click on it. But what they did is they recently upgraded, and this is new as of maybe a week ago or 2 days ago. I'm not quite sure when I saw it. But now they have shared storage. So before you had how many gigs in Drive? 5, right? They gave you 5. So now it says a combined total of 30 gigs. They're taking the 25 gigs from your Gmail, some gigs from Google Plus, and combining it all so that you have 30 gigs of shared storage. So that's fantastic. I have some staff members who far exceed that storage. And for them, I have a great tip coming up here on how to get 100 gigs of storage for free. They've also enabled online and offline editing. So I have a link there that explains how to do that. For those of you who have Chromebooks, how many of you have played with a Chromebook or testing Chromebooks? Okay, that was the biggest concern for me, was how am I going to get this stuff offline? You know, if I give this to a kid, they take it home, how are they going to use that if they don't have internet access at home? Problem solved. You can now add it offline. Okay, so that link there tells you how to do it and walks you through some of the steps in order to enable it. They have additional Google apps for Google Drive apps for Android and iOS and all that, and some of them they work great, some of them they're still, you know, work in progress. My favorite one, and I can't pick up my iPad mini right now because it is precariously propping up my laptop so that it does not fall, but it is the Google Drive app for the iOS, and it allows you to edit spreadsheets. That's fantastic. Now on my Android device, my Nexus 7, if I open that up, it doesn't allow me to edit it. It actually dumps me back into Chrome. So, you know, they're still working on the app. They're trying to make everything work together. So we're getting there. Okay? And they also added the ability to use third-party services. Okay? So a great resource for this. There's 2 great resources for this, and I have a slide coming up on that as well. One is to watch the state of tech. We always in our we have a segment called Awesome Thing of the Week. Sometimes they're Google Apps, Google Extensions, things like that. So if you're not already subscribed to our podcast, please watch us there. Also, here's the free tip. Okay, how do you get 100 gigs of storage free? Buy a Chromebook. Almost free, right? So how many of you have noticed this already, that you can sign in and get free Chromebooks, or once you sign into your Chromebook, you can get 100 gigs? How many have found that out? How many want to find out how to do that? Okay, so on your Chromebook right now, if this is one you bought, or if it's one the district bought and your tech guy doesn't know about it yet, or you, the tech guy, don't know about it yet, if you go to Downloads under your Chrome browser, you hit the button in the corner, go to Downloads. At the very top, it's going to open up a new window. At the very top, it says, hey, how would you like to activate and get 100 gigs of storage for free? If somebody already has done that on that Chromebook, then you can't do it. So it's a one-shot deal because ownership of that device is kind of a one-shot deal. So, yeah, 100 gigs for 2 years for free. That's a very good deal. Okay, and I have some links there to some Chromebooks as well. I've tested all of them with the exception of the HP. So,
what happens after 2 years?
Some guy in a Google outfit comes to your house with a bag, and they collect all your belongings. So, or they're probably going to give it to you again. You know, Google's very forgiving, very, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you stick around and do more? They also allow you to buy it. So, is that what you were going to say?
No, you say that again? Go to downloads and then what?
You go to downloads in your Chrome,
Yes.
in your Chrome browser, and then at the very top of the Chrome browser, click right there. Go to downloads. Oh, you're on the downloads. Try open downloads in folders. Sorry, they changed it. So when you open in a folder, that means it opens it locally. Okay? So once you open it in a folder, which that's the screen you want to see, click on the one that says Google Drive. On the left-hand side. At the very top, if no one has claimed it yet, there should pop, a little icon should pop up there and say, hey, how would you like to get 100 gigs of online storage? Okay? There's if you Google that on YouTube, how to get 100 gigs offline, there's a video that walks you through it. Now the only exception is, how many of you have a Chromebook that's managed by your district, your university, something like that? I think if you register it there, your tech guy probably is just sitting on all of your gigs of free storage there. So I know because I'm sitting on quite a few gigs of free storage there. So my favorite Chromebook, because you asked, this week is the Acer Chromebook. And the only reason I would choose this one over the Samsung 303, which is the really skinny one, is this one has a removable battery. It has the ability for me to open it up and fix it quickly. And I also found a vendor that is an Acer certified reseller or repair person, which means I can send the Chromebook to them. They'll replace it as long as it's under warranty, and then you're good to go. So for me, the Acer works. In other districts, the Samsung might work, whatever, but there's a link to each one of those. You know, test them, borrow them from friends. I know Soida allows you to come and test them. They have crates of them sitting around. Okay. So what is Google Drive? You know, we talked about this before too, how to connect and add more apps. Okay, more apps, more extensions, things like that. So if you click the Create button while in Google Drive, it says Connect to More Apps. This is where you can browse through and find all the extensions, the apps, the great add-ons that really make Google Drive so much more. Okay, so if you haven't done this already, take some time. It's not as rich as the iPad App Store. How many people have iPads? How many people have browsed the App Store forever and ever and ever? Yeah. So it's not as rich as that yet, but it's getting there. A lot of these apps are just links to outside extensions, outside web services that allow you to log in through Google. And that's great in a school environment, because how many of you have separate accounts? The kids have different usernames, different passwords for this, for that. And how many kids, how many teachers here have students who say, oh, I remember my username and password. And you don't have the ability to reset it, right? This happened, I can't tell you how many times my first year in Mechanicsburg, and I said, I'm done, enough with it. When we went to Google Apps, I made it so they couldn't change their username and password. I made it so that it was a username and password that they could remember, because it had their name in it. So that's one of my tips, and I'll show you how I did that here in a few minutes too. But having that same username and password, and that word I'm looking for is authenticate. When you authenticate into another website, it uses Google's username and password to do so. So that's really what this connecting to outside apps does. And it's a great, great tool. Again, I suggest you go through and browse through it. Here's a few of the ones that really blow me away. This one is called Real-Time Board. Okay? How many people know what Prezi is? How many people get motion sick while watching TV? Yeah. Well, you'll be happy to know that underneath your chair is a vomit bag. So, you know, if need be, we can go there. But with Real-Time Board, this allows you to log in, and we'll see how well the internet works here. But here's a video, and it's about 4 minutes long. And I'm going to...
This is Real-Time Board, and I'll show you the basic ideas on its features.
So they called me and said, hey, could you do that, use your fantastic presentation voice, but could you do it in an English or Aussie accent? And I said, sure, no problem, mate. So then I re-recorded. I'm just kidding, I didn't do that. But we'll go through and listen.
Real-time board is an endless online whiteboard where you can stick images as well as markup, draw, text, make post-it notes, comment, save the results instantly in real time. What's more, invite people and collaborate. As you've signed up, create your first board. A public board can be viewed by all users, when a private one is accessed by you and those you allow. You can upload images and PDF from your device or the web. To add a file on a board, just drag it on. You may rotate and resize the image, move it across the board, and also swipe pages and PDFs.
Very Prezi-esque.
To delete a file from the board, just press the delete button, or use the context menu.
But wait, there's more.
Connect your Google Drive account and use your documents on the board. To do this, authorize in the Google Drive tab and allow the access to your files. You can edit the documents and then update the changes right on the board. Save files and documents from the board using the download option.
But wait, there's more.
Draw with the brush tool and erase the paintings with the eraser. Create simple shapes, change their size, color and fill type. By selecting multiple objects, you can apply changes to the whole group. Use the sticky notes tool to create post-it notes. Double-click switches you to the text edition mode. Create simple text by the same way. Unlike sticky notes, you may rotate and resize the text. To leave a comment, use the comments tool. Tag your comments to any spot on the board or object. All the board participants can add comments to your note too.
So how many of you have had the pleasure of sitting through student presentations where they use construction paper, post-it boards, and all that stuff? Now we're saving trees by using this app. And again, it's free. It's built right in, well, kind of, to Google Apps. Okay, so there's much more. There's collaboration with it, so you share it with other friends or other students in the class. So it's like their own interactive project. The very end of this, where he gets even more of an essay and goes on and on and on, he talks about how to set it up to be much like Prezi. Okay, so it says start here, then move here, then move here, then move here. So your students, whoever, whatever you're using this tool for, you're going to create this and make a presentation out of it as well. So this could be a very great, project for students in the classroom, and hey, a great reason for this is why I need Chromebooks for my classroom. Okay? So very neat tool. That's called Real-Time Board. And again, how I found that is once I went into Google Drive, I just enabled this, or I hit connect, add more apps. I typed in Real-Time Board, I hit OK, and it added it right then and there. Okay? The only awkward part was the guy kept calling me and said, how do you like Real-Time Board? And I'm like, that's thanks, it's fine. The next one was, and I linked to my very good friend for this one. It's called Lucid Chart for Education. How many of you have heard of Lucid Chart? Okay. How many of you use mind mapping? I think that's what it's called. Where you put a bubble out there and you brainstorm and do that kind of stuff. Okay. So this is a very good tool that does this again in the Google environment. It allows you to create notes or mind maps, same process. It's not as collaborative as Real-Time Board, but it reminds me of what's that program called Kidspiration? Yeah. Have you seen that one? Yeah. It's like Kidspiration, only less kid, a little more adult. Okay, so here I have a link to Lucid Chart for Education, and then a video on YouTube presented by Eric Kurtz, where he goes through and walks you through exactly how to do everything in there step by step. He gives great examples on how to use it, much more than I can offer here in 45 minutes. Okay, this next one is really neat too. While we're on the topic of presentations, I co-teach a computer applications class with a teacher back at Mechanicsburg, and we went over PowerPoint last week. And nothing is more painful than having to watch a kid stand up here shaking. He's so nervous, and he's just staring at the screen, reading, and his voice keeps changing. It's gut-wrenching because, you know, we learned how to present a long time ago. You can stand up, and, well, hopefully the majority of us can stand up and just start talking freely without butterflies in our stomachs. I thought I was going to have to get a bucket for this kid because I thought that's going to be all over. He's going to get sick. Well, I found a solution for him. On his Chromebook, this is really neat, he's going to sign in through his Chromebook. He's going to bring up his presentation, and on every Chromebook, there's what at the top? A webcam, right? Is that for tech guys to creep on kids? Hopefully not, okay? What this program, I'm kidding, you can't do that. I don't think you can. I can. No, I can't. So what this program does is allow you to record yourself doing this presentation. Okay, so you can put any document on the right-hand side or left-hand side, however you want to organize it, but it records the presentation. So as you present it, you click through the slides. So for students, you can say, instead of us taking class time and presenting and going through and we're going to do your presentation, I want you to take your Chromebook home or go in another room and record your presentation. Okay, and they can do it as many times as they want. It's free, right? It records it. And then later, they could be graded later.
Communicate combining any document or attachment with video and audio. We naturally integrated MoveNote with all the common mail systems and with file shares such as Google Drive. MoveNote can
blah, blah, blah. We're going to move on to the very end right here.
Slides while you're speaking. You can naturally highlight the main points in your presentation as you wish. Share your MoveNote as you like and with whom you like. MoveNote. Presentation with emotions.
So, with emotions. Remember that. That's the key, is emotions. Now, so what they do is, you're able to record yourself right there doing the presentation. That's great for feedback for students. The other thing I saw a lot of students do was sway back and forth, and I'm guilty of that too. If I lock my legs, I'm liable to just freeze up and then pass out because I have poor circulation. So I got to keep moving around to present. But for these kids, they're seated, they're comfortable. They can watch their facial expressions as they present. You can then provide feedback to them in a Google Doc or within this program. So it's a really neat program. Again, free, and one of those third-party applications for Google. Okay? Moving on. Another great place, I'm going to return to full screen. Another great place to do to look for extensions and apps is called Web App Reviews. Okay, and this little cloud guy right here, his name is Wappy. And if you go to Web App Reviews, you're going to see Eric Kurtz and Sean Beavers. I don't know if Sean's posted anything, but Eric Kurtz definitely has. Okay, and he's done 20 or so reviews on different extensions for different solutions. One of my favorite, and I think he's back in the very back there, is it Text Help, right? Text Help is one of the coolest extensions for Google Drive. Okay, and they're not paying me to do this. In fact, I bought their app on the iPad and I dropped $20, $19.99. It's well worth it. Okay, so what this does, and I got to sign out of this and jump into here, and I'll show you a demo of how this works. We have a few special ed students who require reading. Can I do in case of emergency? Building security? I'll do this one. Who require, something to be read to them. And I think my text help, there it is. So you see this little guy popped up at the top? It says read write, all right? So this is another Chrome extension that was installed. And what this does is, if I click this button down here, and fingers crossed, right, hope it works, I'm going to highlight my text right here, go up to speak, and then hit play.
The Mechanicsburg Exempted Village School District has advanced its building security to include a more secure entry system for visitors during normal school hours. Each of the
Yes.
three
Yeah, that's fantastic. So what it does is record, or I'm sorry, what it does is reads it right to them. You can see as it's highlighting, it does a very nice job of that. And we have, I want to say 6 special ed students now where they have Chromebooks or they have iPads that they're specifically using this app to have it read back to them. Okay?
It's called Text Help.
It's called Text Help, and no, Text Help is the name of the company. Read and Write for Google Docs is what you want to search for. Okay?
Yeah, an extension in Chrome Store.
An extension of the Chrome Store. And in fact, on the Web Apps Review, if you go to that site, Web Apps Review, that one was reviewed last week. It's a fantastic resource. There are other options for it, as like a dictionary and a picture dictionary, again, for students that need that visual assistance. But this works in your Google Chrome on any computer as well as on the Chromebook. So
Is that right for them as they talk into it, or what is
it's not like predictive text. It's not text to speech. It just reads back to them what they have written. Okay? So, you know, it's a great solution for that. Now, on the iPad app, this is off topic, Text Help has a iPad app. I think it's Read Write, same thing. You can type, and it has predictive text in there. So it's a great solution for them. And for those students who require predictive text, they have the iPad. For the students that just need it read back to them, they use this. I just have it read back to me because I'm a horrible speller, right? And I need to make sure everything sounds okay. So that's why I use that app. Fantastic tool.
Do you know of a word prediction app?
That works in Chrome?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't, but hopefully
It'll be here by the summertime. It'll be built into this tool.
Yeah.
pays to have fantastic vendors stand in the back of your room. So, yeah. Okay? So, and again, they're a great company. They build a lot of solutions for students with needs to, have text reproduced to them. So, again, good solution. Let's see if I can jump back to my presentation. I'm going to start at the beginning. Nope. Okay. So, jumping back in the Google Drive train, okay, and more to how do you upload files to Google, okay? One of my favorite ways to do it, which just blows teachers' minds occasionally, is to just take a file right off their desktop, drag it right into Google Drive, and then automatically it says, okay, starting to upload, okay? So what we did was, over the summer when we did our migration, I got all the teachers in the lab and I said, congratulations, your P drive, which is their network shared drive, I said, that's going to kind of go away. And they're going, how soon? I'm like, 20 minutes ago. And then a few of them, had heart attacks and cleaned that up. But just kidding, not a few of them, pretty much all of them did. So what we did was we said, all right, you have the rest of the year. This is a nice, comfortable migration from our existing file server over to Google Drives. We're going to take your documents and we're going to show you how to organize and move those files over. This helped me, as the only tech guy in the building, because my file server, which was leaking, every day I would have to go and sweep around it because files would just fall right out of the side. I would have to clean it up and compress and do all this stuff. Now, it's so small that I virtualize it. Okay, it's virtualized and it's not even housed in Mechanicsburg. So it saved the district quite a bit of money to do this. I sat teachers down in their TBTs, their grade levels, their departments, whatever, and we did it as grade level or department because there are some teachers that are just more tech savvy in the department, others that aren't, and we moved nice and slow. We showed them how to get organized and do all that. We talked about naming conventions, and there are other ways to upload files. You could click on the Create button, the My Drive, and then upload individual files, or you could grab the entire folder and upload it. Now, where it gets kind of cool is those specific settings. So with the specific settings, I like to set mine, and I have here, you go to Upload Settings, and then right here it says Confirm Settings before each upload. And this is where some of the teachers said, oh, wait a minute, I just clicked upload, now I'm done, right? All my files are up there. Well, sometimes Google goes kind of crazy, right? When they take a PDF, they're going to take this PDF and they're going to rip it apart and make it all googly, okay? And that doesn't help sometimes. When you have a PDF that's very graphic intensive, or a PDF that was put on the copier and it's skewed like at a 45-degree angle, you know, we all have seen, it's like, how did this get in there? You know, it's 45-degree angle. Doesn't do so well reading. So what I do is I said, you need to confirm your settings before each upload, okay? Sometimes you want to maintain those PDFs, because just because it's a Google Drive doesn't mean everything has to be a Google Doc, a Google spreadsheet, or Google this, Google that. It can still be a Word doc, it can still be a spreadsheet, it can still be a PDF. It doesn't matter. Okay, Google will take it. Okay? So I have everybody set their settings to that because I don't want, you know, any misunderstandings why all my documents are now messed up looking or anything like that. Okay, so again, you know, check the upload settings and be sure, is this something that you want to convert to a PDF or not? Okay? And again, it's free to upload stuff. You know, do whatever you want. This is an example of a Word document, how a Word document looks, and then after it's been converted. So again, if you keep a Word document the way it is, I have a building secretary who says, oh, Eric, I'm not quite ready to use Google Docs. Maybe after I retire, I'll use it. Okay. So she continues to use our board minutes, are all done in outline view, and every week they're a Word doc, and she just drags them to her folder, and it's done. She tells it not to convert. And that's okay, because everybody else goes in and says, okay, I'll download it and look at it. You know, they don't really need to edit it, or they'll click on it and convert it if they need to make changes. Okay? So, yeah, the easiest way to organize is the drag and drop method for some folks. There is one thing that I have to warn you about, because we almost lost a teacher by my hands because of this issue. How many people have ever drug and drop a file and said, oh God, where did that just go? Okay, nobody wants to raise their hand, I understand. I'm the bravest one in here, I will, I'll raise my hand, okay? So that happened all the time with Windows. You would drag and drop a file and, oh God, where did that go? It's in one of these folders, Control Z, edit, undo, drops it right back in. With Google, you have to be careful. I had a bunch of shared folders, and they were our professional development folders for the summer. Nice and organized. I stood there and I just did all this. It's nice and organized. And one of my teachers, one of my better Google teachers, said, oh, those are all great. I'm going to select them all and just drag them over into my stuff. And when he did that, he drug it over, and this little guy popped up, and it said, move, right? So I went back into my folder, and I thought, where are all my files? Not in my folder. So I'm going, okay, sweating a little bit, you know, starting to get agitated. Purple veins started to appear in my forehead. And I found out that he moved it. Okay, and when you move a file or a folder, it goes right into that person's account. Okay, so they exist in one place. So what we have to do is something called add. If I share a folder out with you, I would like you to add it to your existing folders. Okay? So, how you do that, and I think that slide's missing. You press the control button. When you're dragging a folder like this, so I'm going to take PR, which was shared with me. I'm going to click and I'm going to press control. And once I press control, it says add. So I add those folders to my Google Drive. And in the example I'll show you, this is what we did with student folders, because I had a bunch of students share their folders with me. I selected them all and I added them to one big folder called, you know, Google Apps, or I'm sorry, Computer Applications class. Had I taken their folder, they all would have vanished. The work would have been gone out of their system. Google needs to fix that somehow. Some sort of security button would be fantastic. I only found it from another great vendor, and I don't know, I doubt they're in the back of the room, but CloudLock is a vendor. I don't know if they're here or not, but they allow Google Apps administrators like myself to sort of track where the document is, who owns it now, where is it. So I was able to search for those PDFs. I found out that one of my teachers took it, and I just moved it right back. logged in as him, changed his password to idiot, and we were fine. No, I didn't do that. It was an 8-letter word. Idiot's not 8 letters. Okay. So how do we share a folder? Now this is my big tip or trick. Okay. And with our with our computer applications class, we are teaching students how to use Microsoft Excel, Word, PowerPoint, all this stuff. And we have these really old paper packets. I thought, wouldn't it be great if I just went down to the scanner, scanned them all in, and dumped them into a shared folder and allowed all these students to view this? And some of the tech coordinators in the audience are going, copyright. Well, no, not really, because what we did was we shared that folder with only the kids in the class. Okay, so that's kind of in our own little Google domain. So that way it's kind of like having so many copies. So that's how I sleep at night. Anyway, that's what I keep telling myself. So I'm going to go ahead and say I do it. So that's what we did. We made several copies, and that saves us on classroom sets, right? So I'll walk you through how we did this with the folder. And I have some shared documents. And if you go to this slide, what you can do is, instead of saying, I want a copy of this, what you'll do is you'll click on this sharing a folder, step 1. You'll click on it. It'll open this up. And I think I have it shared to anybody who clicks on the link. Yep, anybody can view. And what you want to do, come on, buddy. There we go. Done. What you want to do is hit File and make a copy. Once you hit File and make a copy, that gives you a copy. So you can go in and edit it and put your school's name. You can do whatever you want in there. So that's how you take this. But this is what's a good word for this? A graphic organizer, perhaps. So this shows you how to say, all right, step 1, you're going to create a folder. You're going to share the folder. You want to name it. So I called it sample share in this case. Step 2, once it's shared, I go and share it with others. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to this, and we'll look at document number 2. Once it is shared with others, then we know, or once it's shared, then we know it's good. What you can actually do is up here where it says share link, you want to change your view to, one of the different views. It'll say people in your organization can view it. So for example, they're all worksheets, right? I don't want the kids to be able to edit the worksheets. They're just PDFs. What are they going to do? Delete them? Yes, probably. So we're not going to allow them to edit it. We're just going to allow them to view it if they're within our organization and they can view the link. So that's what I do. I set it to view only as long as you're in my organization. Then you copy this big, long, ugly share link, right? And then again, anyone with the link or within your organization. And then you can put that link anywhere. You can put it on your Google site, but again, the name of this session was called How to Do It All from Google Docs, right? So I have a few teachers who said, I really don't want to create a Google site. I know so-and-so down the hall, she's on that thing all day long, she's changing the font, making it pretty, spends all her time doing that, and okay, that's fine. She has time to do that, good for her. The teacher I've been talking to says, I'm a history teacher, that's done. It's done and over. I've shared the link, it's done. I don't want to work anymore with it. That's fine. So what we did was we set up one Google Doc, and then we shared that Google Doc the same way we shared this folder here. And on our teacher webpage, we shared that Google Doc so that whenever the student goes to the teacher webpage and clicks on that teacher's name, he just opens up a Google Doc. So that teacher can go in and edit the Google Doc every day or every week and say, hey, here's the list of assignments. Here's a shared folder to all the worksheets I want you to use. Here's this, here's that. So we really didn't have to work extra hard for a teacher who said, I'm not willing to put in the Google Site hours, which sort of hurts me a little bit because, again, I was a graphic designer. I would love to make this big, elaborate, graphically pleasing Google site, but, no time, doc, done, over. So this was the quickest, easiest way that we could do this, okay? And again, that resource is there. Feel free to share those with your staff. We've got about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to speed up just a little bit. What we do for students is we share this in the same process. We have them share the doc or share a drive with us, and then we take that drive and we move it into one folder. But I do have some tips for you. For one, for your own sanity's sake, you want to turn off the notifications, because every time a student shares something with you, there's a little button down at the bottom that says, why don't you try sending them a notification? Well, if you're a teacher and you already get umpteen emails a day, you don't need one every time a student shares something with you, right? So I just have them share the file or share the folder one time with me, and then everything that they put in that folder is automatically shared with me. Okay, so it's a very easy way for me to do it. But again, turn off notifications, otherwise it's an email notification storm. Okay? Yes, there's many folders. You can accomplish the deadline. Okay, so the other thing that I get from teachers is saying, Google's nice, but the kids can keep going back and editing documents, right? Really, we have to stop thinking of a Google Doc as a piece of paper, as something that's done and closed off. It's organic, it's alive, it's always going to be edited, or it can continue to be edited, right? But you can establish, excuse me, a deadline to do this. So what we did, and I'll demo this quickly here, is under my Google Drive, I created a new form. Okay, and I'm going to share this form out with my students. Ooh, cherry blossom. Okay, and the first question is your last name. Okay, and then I want it not to be multiple choice, although that would be funny. We'll say it's a required question. The next one is going to be, grade level. And again, this could be multiple choice, because you could say, if you leave it as a text document, and you say, just tell me the grade level, some kid's going to say the one I don't like, So you need to specify. This would be a good multiple choice solution, okay? So I'll say grade 1 and 2 is for this demo. And you can add other options, assignment name, things like that. The last one I'm going to add is the link. And what I mean by this is I want the link to their shared document. Okay, so why would you want the link to this shared document? I'm also going to require them to be a member of Mechanicsburg and to automatically collect their email address. Okay, so that's going to help me out. So I'm going to say view this form live. So somewhere I have this shared up on my board on a tiny URL or off my website or something like this. I say, hey, your assignment is due at 3 o'clock today. You need to turn it in electronically with me. Oh, Mr. Griffith, I already shared it with you. Good job. Congratulations. You learned how to share it. However, I want you to turn it in. So how I have students turn things in is we'll find one of the computer apps kids. And so here's the assignment number 1. So they open up their assignment. And it's blank. Of course it is. And what they're going to do is the assignment is already shared with them shared with you because it's already in your Google Drive folder, right? So they're going to copy this link, okay? And then they're going to jump back to that form and they're going to paste that link in there with their last name. And I'm in grade 1. And I'm going to hit submit. I think congratulations, your form has been shared. Okay? So, they changed Google Forms. It's now you have to choose a destination. So I'm going to open this up and show you what this looks like. For me, this is an electronic grade sheet. And of course, it'll take just a couple of seconds to create this because it's still thinking about it. Come on. A few responses. Okay, so for me, this is an electronic grade sheet. Okay, so imagine I've had 20 more kids submit assignments. I know that this kid submitted it at this time. Here's his email address, here's his last name, here's his grade, and here's a link to his document. So for me, I go home, I'm sitting on my Chromebook, I can just run down this list of, hey, here's everybody who's submitted it. Now, wait, there's more. Because this is a form, I can go ahead and add a grade right here, or a gade, whatever. G-R-A-D-E. Oh my goodness. This keyboard is at like a 30-degree angle up, so it's awkward. So I can then say once I've clicked on this link, because once I've clicked on the link, I go to the doc, it opens up their document. I can grade it, I can insert quotes, I can do all that same stuff. Once I'm done, I close it out, and I give them a grade, A. Okay? So I just go right down the list. I could even go back and email the kid because I've got his email address right there. But it's just a quick way to make a grade sheet and to still get a deadline from your students. So the question is, well, what happens if they submitted it and I wanted them to stop? I didn't want them to edit it right after that. Well, within Google, come on, buddy, work with me. If I go up to File and see Revision History, I can see exactly when the last person edited this. Okay? So if I know they submitted it today, but then later that night they went back in and edited it, you can always go back and say, I can see your revisions. So there's checks and balances to this. So that's just one tip to get a deadline, to turn a Google Doc into a physical deadline for teachers. So let's see how many more slides I've got. Some of the tips I would suggest too, and I think we might be out of time, but abbreviations or use a naming convention. Okay? Can't tell you how many kids just turn in a doc and it says untitled document. Really? Your new nickname is an untitled document. Well, that worked for the first 6 kids because it was funny the first 6 times, but 22 kids later, not funny anymore. So when they share their folder with you, have them do a class abbreviation, their last name and first name. Then set a precedent. Make this, hey, this is district-wide. This is how we're going to do this district-wide. Okay? The same with their assignments. Their class abbreviation, something like that, assignment number, and then again their name. You don't want to have to open every document to see who did what, right? It's very irritating. Okay, keep the same. Create additional fields. Yep, I already talked about that. So that's the end of that presentation. How to do it all in Google Slides, or how to do it all in Google Drive. There's a lot more that you can do in Google Drive, but not enough time in a day to show you how to do it. When I go back and I do summer presentations with my staff, it's a 2-hour class, and we start a little bit, and the next day we come back and do 2 more hours, and I make it voluntary. But if they come, they get fun things like a Chromebook. So that's how I inspire staff members to come to professional development. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, go ahead. I think there's not a limit to the length, but there's a limit to the size. I believe it was 1 gig was the size. But now they've got 30 gigs in there, so maybe they have that too. Yes, sure. Full screen. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Be sure to watch the State Tech. No, it isn't. Brian, you're up next. All right.